Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Daryl.
And Daryl, it feels like we haven't recorded in like 5 months.
Well, because we were off for when you were sick. We were off.
Oh yeah, we've only recorded. We did not record an episode in February.
Really?
Yeah. Or maybe just one.
Hold
on, wait. Let me double check.
Wait a minute.
No. I'm sorry. We have not recorded an episode since February 18th. My bad. Let me rephrase that. So 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But we were off last week because of one of the topics for this week. And then we're recording late this week because we wanted to watch the other topic for this week.
Yes.
So anyway, how are you feeling? The Bengals are like making some weird, your Bengals are making some weird moves, and I'm worried about you.
I mean, remember the Bengals are my kind of like my secondary / tertiary team behind far behind Michigan and
sure. But like it's Mr. still the Big pro
in San Diego.
It's the pro team. So. Wait, who?
No, not really. Now that Jim Harbaugh's in San Diego,
you're a chart. Remember when we first started hanging out and I started calling you front runner?
I don't remember that actually.
With the whole Tom Brady thing, where you're like, "Oh, I like the Patriots." I'm like, "Do you?" And you're like, "No, I like Tom Brady." And I'm like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm fucking with you. But you had all that Pats gear, so.
I didn't have all that Pats gear.
You had a lot of Pats gear.
No, so. I don't have any Patriots gear. I had like one shirt.
So
no, I mean even back then
you had like 17 jackets, 42 pairs of shoes. I think you had like 935 visors. It was crazy.
That my friend is a lie. Liar.
Quick side note. So playing Ghost of I finally played Ghost of Tsushima. Daryl has been wanting me to play this game for years. I think that's an accurate way to look at it.
Yeah.
And so I'm playing and Haley's over and she goes, "Did you avenge the horse?" And I said, "Yes, I killed them. I killed them all. Not just the men, but the women and children too." And she goes, "Okay, Anakin."
Yeah. But I got to say about your 32 hours of playing.
Yeah.
Those are rookie numbers, man. You got to get them up.
Well, here's the thing. You're lucky I finished the game.
No, you're lucky you finished the game.
So no, it was fun. It was a really cool game. I really.
Now here's the important thing. What did you give your uncle an honorable death? Did you say you did?
Yeah, I killed the shit out of him.
Okay.
So I wanted to cut his head off.
I will say that I love this game. The story in this game, as far as that conflict between the old ways of the samurai and Jin having to do the way of the ninja, pretty much shinobi.
Well, the Ronin, yeah. So
yeah, that was incredibly done because you could see the tension in all their conversations, and he's like, "I have to do what I'm doing. What has to be done." It's like, "Not like that.
Not
You're a samurai.
Not like that. We are samurai." Yeah. And it's like, "Shut up, old man. I'm gonna kill all these people with poison."
Yeah, so that I always thought that. Too bad Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming out and going to show that certain companies just shouldn't be allowed to make games.
You mean like Ubisoft or what are some other companies there? Oh, Mythic Quest. Or what was it? Raven something? What's the studio? I forget.
Oh yeah, what is I don't know their name. And Grim Pop?
Yeah.
Or that was there when they were trying to do the
Oh, that was the other one.
Whatever.
Anyway, but yeah, so we're back. We are actually this week going to talk about the Monday Night Raw we went to together. It was a lot of fun. We hadn't seen each other since my wedding. in November. So that was cool to hang out. And then we're going to talk about the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again. I keep calling it Daredevil Reborn. Because of the whole Flash Reborn,
like Heroes
Green
Reborn,
Lantern Reborn, and Heroes, So I don't know, but that was bad. That was really bad.
That was, dude. I was. I remember wanting to fight people after watching that. After every episode,
dude. The last 2 seasons before that were bad, and it just got worse.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was possible. Anyway, all right. So you want to hop right into it?
Let's do it.
All right, let's talk some wrestling. So we went to Monday Netflix Raw on February 24th at the Heritage Bank Arena in Cincinnati, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, Cody pointed at me, and he it's in the crowd. I don't even know how he saw me. Oh, I had my Cobra Kai shirt on, so he probably saw that. Yeah. So I thought that was, really that's what he saw of him.
So yeah. That's just like CM Punk heard me yell, "You suck," when it was kind of quiet.
Yeah, it was. That was pretty good.
So, I mean, he does suck. So there is that happening there. But no, it was fun. It was a good night. I just think that a 3-hour Raw is a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah. I mean, technically it was like 2.5, but if you count the dark match, the beginning and end dark matches, that which we did not see the end.
Well, we didn't get to watch my boy Mike wrestle LA Knight
because a young child decided to vomit out of his nostrils
everywhere. Like, I'm glad you saw that, because that kid definitely would have thrown up on me, and then I definitely would have thrown up on that kid. So I'd be like,
it'd have been like that Euro trip intro.
Right. And then you would have been sitting there in the background going, Scotty doesn't know. I watched Euro Trip for the first time like 4 months ago.
I remember you telling me about it. I did not know you hadn't watched it.
Well, I bought it.
The Matt Damon,
it was like $4.99. Yeah. So
the Matt Damon cameo was hilarious. Yeah. I remember watching it the first time. Like, what is he doing in this?
Yep. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, so no, it was a great night. It was a really cool card. We got to watch Liv and Raquel win the ladies tag team titles, which then kind of led into what happened at Elimination Chamber with Jade and Naomi and all that. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a fun night. I thought there were some really good matches. The Gunther versus Akira Tozawa was great, which I think I sent you a reel, which I know you didn't watch yet because I sent you like 40 of them today. But there's a video that I sent you of Akira Tozawa actually wrestling, and you'll see what WWE has taken away from us.
Oh, just kind of like some of the other stuff we've seen.
Oh yeah. So, but yeah, so I will say this. So so far this year, I've been to an AEW Dynamite, which was a blast. The Royal Rumble, which was a bucket list thing. Monday Night Raw, and then the night after Monday Night Raw, I went to NXT with my buddy Juan. WWE just does it different, right? They have almost 50 years of experience of putting on these shows, and they're great. But I will say this: of all of those things I went to, the best crowd was NXT on the 25th.
You said that
of February. It was such like everybody was into it, and with NXT now you have like TNA people coming out and stuff like that, and like when Moose came out to wrestle Lexus King, the former Brian Pillman Jr., like everyone's like doing Moose and doing the little like trucker like pull down, like pull the like when you're at the window and you're like do the horn, but it's like Moose. Like it was really cool. And it was a lot of fun to see everybody like really get into it. The only thing I was bummed about was there was no Sol Roca, but because she's awesome, or Sol Ruca, however you say it. And then but we did get to see Stephanie Vaquera wrestle, which was just awesome. And then Jordan Grace had a wardrobe malfunction, which some kid in the front row definitely saw a boobie. So
Probably still talking about it now.
Yeah, still talking about it. But so that all that being said, like it was like I had a ton of fun. I had fun hanging out with you. You know, I was definitely judging that guy sitting in front of us who didn't actually know anything about wrestling because I don't think he watched since Macho was like the Macho King. So.
Which the guy directly in front of us, or 2 rows in front who had the mask on?
The guy directly in front of us. The guy 2 rows in front was just, as Alan would say in The Hangover, a retard. So, I mean, he had an AJ Styles belt, which is like kind of cool, I guess, but it's like, is it? You spent $600 on that, buddy. And then a mask. It was like, what are you doing? What are you doing, homie? Stay home. Go home.
I've seen some of the team belts they have, like for Kentucky and Michigan. I can't do it. I can't do that.
So wait, you don't want the Michigan one I got you?
No.
Okay, well, I'm
just send me $600, please.
Pass. But yeah, so like I said, it was a ton of fun. There was a lot going on, and yeah. And I was like super duper tired after those 2 nights being out past 11 o'clock. So,
yeah, I had a lot of fun. I generally, just because of crowds, I'm not a fan of going to football games, and because people are dumb and drunk. At least with wrestling, it's a wider audience. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bengals games, you do have kids. Funny enough, the last time I saw a kid blow chunks like that it was at a Bengals game, as he was about a little bit over. He was probably like 12, and he was coming up the stairs and he did the exact same thing. So, but wrestling is just so different seeing it live. And again, I know all sports are different when you see it live, but wrestling, just because of so much, when you go to the commercial breaks, all the little stuff, the antics they do in the ring, like I was saying with Grayson Waller doing his little lunges. Oh, yeah. And again, I've seen that in the past, but it's been a while since I've seen it. It was just so funny. And then after the match, he's walking back, behind to the gorilla. And then right before he disappears, he does it again. It's like little stuff like that is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
On top of what we see, just on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And, and it's different too. Like you hear the mat, you actually hear the mat, like when they hit the mat and stuff like that better.
Oh man. That's so cool.
And you get a better idea of how fast they really are.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I love sports. I remember watching, a college football game for the first time.
Yeah.
Like on field level, and again realizing how fast these guys are moving. It's like being in the batter's box and seeing a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, and then seeing it on TV. On TV, it's like, that doesn't come out fast, but when you see 91 or 92, it's a lot. Especially if you're not used to it, especially growing up 16, 17.
Yep.
First time seeing, it's like, that's a little bit fast.
Oh yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. So you're right.
So people don't realize.
Like an example, I saw in the early days of AEW, I watched Andrade wrestle Pac, and it was far and away the fastest match I've ever seen in person. Until I got to see Speedball Mike Bailey wrestle. So, it's all of that, and it's a lot of fun. And here's the thing: if you're a dad or a mom and you like wrestling, take your kids. Watch wrestling with them, and then take your kids, because, it's going to be a lot of fun with them. And get good seats, not front row or anything, but get seats that are close enough that they can really kind of feel it and feel the energy and stuff like that. Because like I said before when we talked about the Royal Rumble a few weeks ago, the little kid that was behind us who knew everybody's name, all their moves, all the feuds that they were in and stuff, he actually helped made it better for me and Derek, because we were like, yeah, this kid's fucking awesome. And then they were at the same hotel with us, and he was like, can I get a picture with you guys? And it's like, sure. It's weird, but okay.
Was he the one that told you that
Nikki Bella was Bella, yeah. And it's like, how do you know who Nikki Bella is, dude? I don't think she's wrestled since you've been born. But anyway, so, and his little brother was just coming up with the funniest curses that you could ever think of. So I need to go back and watch some of the videos I took and see if I got any of his, him calling Kevin Owens KO. He was calling him Queso. Like, yeah, he's like, you're Queso, you suck. Anyway, all right. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, go to wrestling. It's fun. If you have indie wrestling near you, go, but don't take kids. So unless it's like a family night. Anyway, all right. You ready to talk Daredevil?
Yes.
All right.
Let's do this.
Daredevil Born Again. So some funny stuff about Daredevil Born Again. The show was actually scrapped and like went completely back to the drawing board because they got it so wrong. And
Yes.
And like, you know, looking at what they did to Daredevil and She-Hulk was bad.
Well, apparently that never happened.
Well, it never happened for me.
Yeah.
Because I never watched it.
But that's one of those things I believe they said. I saw that they're kind of ignoring. They're ignoring.
It's not canon anymore. Is that why Tatiana Maslany got all pissed off?
I mean, yeah, because nobody liked her show. Okay, I won't say that. I won't say nobody. I'll just say 3% of people liked their show that watched it.
So,
maybe.
I mean, yeah, it's bad. It was bad. So, anyway, so this season is, you know, it opens with, you know, Nelson, Murdock, and Paige and associates celebrating at Josie's. And the first thing I noticed, and we talked about this, is everything is too clean. Like everything is like pristine. Josie's bar was a little dive bar that was like covered. Yes. It was like, it had smoke in there. It was like, you know, it just looked bad. And in this episode, it was like the longest freaking bar that ever existed. They kept finding new rooms for people to hide in.
Yeah.
I definitely,
the streets were far too clean.
Oh yeah. And there was nobody on the streets either. Did you notice that?
Yes, I noticed like, that was very
the Netflix Daredevil didn't do that. It made New York was a character in the original Daredevil, and it wasn't this time. And here's the thing: I'm not going to bash. This isn't bashing the show. I'm just talking about the differences up front. I actually enjoyed both episodes because Charlie's a badass. But it was really funny that Bullseye was back because I could have swore they killed Bullseye, and I need to go back and watch the end of that.
Yeah, and as we'll get into specifics, not too specifics, but my biggest issue, and I told you when we were talking earlier, it took me about 10 minutes to figure out what was wrong, why I was so disconnected with what was going on in the show. And it's because of that. It was too clean. You look at the original there. It wasn't just the fact that it looked like New York was a lived-in place. That it reminded me of how and again, my comparison is look back on the original Star Wars trilogy and how everything looked dirty and just grimy. And then you flash back to the prequel trilogies and everything looks clean. And again, you could say from a storytelling perspective, that was fine because of Naboo and all that stuff. But it still is jarring when you see the Millennium Falcon and all these other ships. And then you go 20 years before that or whatever, 30 years before that. And everything is just so pristine.
Well, it does make sense, though, because they weren't at war, you know, like, But I get what you're saying. Like the prequel trilogies were just, you're right. It was too unlived in.
Yeah. And even with that, this is worse to me because like you said, at least there is even though it was jarring a little bit to me, I could still see why they did it because of, like you said, different, it's like 3 decades later or 3 decades beforehand. So I could get that even though it was still jarring to the eye. This is supposed to take place in the same or similar world or the same world. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it didn't have a soul. And that was it was every scene looked just like they had to, it was a caricature of the original Daredevil. That doesn't mean that what we're going to get isn't it can't be good. I don't think there's any chance it's going to be as good as the original.
Well,
I don't think that's out the water.
I agree. And like, we talked about this too. Like I gave the analogy is it's a shadow of the former show.
Yes.
So, it's a bunch of people who have spent the last several years living, in a Nerf reality, trying to show something gritty and real.
Yeah. And it didn't just stop there. And I think that was the biggest damage to me is that, and I didn't think the music and not just the soundtrack, but the score, but the music itself lend it to what I wanted to see for this show. It didn't have that same vibe. It was almost, and one of the things we did say is this was absolutely messy in the same messiness that 95% of TV show pilots are.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of jumping around. There was a lot of quick cuts, and there were several instances where I'm like, okay, how much time has passed? Did they say what? No, I don't know how much time's passed. Like, why did we go here from there? And what's going on here? And again, I will give it a little bit of leeway just because you can tell they were starting over. You tell they were trying to find their footing, and just like we give pretty much every show who has its original pilot. And we know, with a few exceptions, hell, you go back to the original Daredevil, the first episode, that had me hooked right away.
Oh, yeah. So
that was actually a very good pilot.
And I think the interesting thing about like this one versus the other one is like kind of like the Chris Nolan Batman movies. In this one, he's trying not to be Daredevil, which I still don't get for these mission-driven heroes, why they continue to go down that path. But in the first one, it was all about like, this is the mission. This is like getting started. I mean, it was right. The Batman Begins of Daredevil, and then it just kind of went from there. But like, I will say this: I think what little of the suit we got to see looked really good.
Yes.
I liked how like the first episode ended. With him finding out about Fisk becoming the mayor. Vincent D'Onofrio is fantastic as Wilson Fisk. I like everybody, like the casting on this show, I think is really, really good.
Still good. Yes. Even the new folks they have in there that we don't know from the original show.
Right.
I think the casting itself is good. I think Charlie Cox is still good. The other thing I will say that the fight with Bullseye was too overproduced and too cartoony for me.
Yeah, it just was a sloppy, like muddled CGI mess.
Yes. And it took me out of, and that was the one other thing is that there were several scenes, not fighting scenes, but where, Matt is talking to someone else and it looks like they're on a set.
Yeah.
The one thing,
real quick, you know what it made me think of? Green Lantern in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, because they were fighting in a cloud, and it was just this is bad.
Yeah,
like this is them trying to do a hallway fight in the first episode, and it's like we didn't get a hallway fight until like episode 3 or 4 in the first season, and then we got that stairwell fight against the bikers in the second season. Oh my god, that was amazing.
Man.
But. This could have been cool if they showed them fighting, not just like popping out of the smoke like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner.
Right. Yes. So, and because the fact that Bullseye has all these knives on him is just like, he's just like making him appear like a magician. I mean, the idea of that is incredible and it's great, but the execution of it lacked something for me.
Well, and the fact that Matt looked like a pincushion.
Yeah.
So,
dude, aren't you going to be? I know you have armor on, but some of those are sticking in. You're losing blood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, seriously.
I did like the scene between Matt and Fisk where, he's like, you better like stay in line and all that.
And then, the one thing there,
go ahead.
And I'll say the beginning did not work for me. And what I mean by that is they do something with a character that, yes, I knew this character we knew this character from the original, but if you're a new viewer and you didn't
we knew
watch
this
the
character from the
original,
Mighty Ducks, 1 out of 5. You know,
yeah.
I mean,
Again, think about, you do this to, if you've never watched the original Daredevil and they do that, that's not going to have any type of emotional impact on you because you don't know this character. That's why I don't think you should do that, where you X out a character for the sake of
for reasons.
Yeah, to show that there's stakes. Again, killing characters just to kill them is just as bad as not killing characters just not to kill them. Like, you have to have a reason for both. I can make plenty of reasons why you shouldn't kill X, Y, Z character, like in any medium, movie or TV, and it'd be fine. And the same way where like, if you want to kill a character, make it mean something and not just for shock value. Which that's what that felt like to me. It felt like shock value, and it was just now, don't get me wrong. One of the other characters around them, I thought their reactions were great to it. Yeah. But still, it lacked something because we never got to really know this character and know the relationship.
And the only thing I can think is, the actor, Elton Henson, might have like just other things booked and
that could very well be
he couldn't get to it. But yeah, I will say when Matt dressed as Daredevil like throws Bullseye like off, like, so that's something that happens in the comics where he throws him off a building, and then we later find out he's been paralyzed. So this happened to Bullseye, and then he got an adamantium skeleton. So
yes, I remember that. Yeah,
it's. I'm really interested to see what they do, but I could have swore they killed Bullseye off in the first series. But hey, he is one of Daredevil's biggest rogues. So, it's all good. So out of 5, why you got to do Foggy like that? So what do you give episode 1, Heaven's Half Hour?
I give it 2.5 out of 5. It was just very rough for me. And again, the actors I thought were fine. You had some great scenes between Daredevil, especially between Matt and, like you said, Fisk.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just a lot of stuff that didn't work for me. And as we go forward, hopefully some of that stuff they work on and gets better. Yeah. As when we talk about episode 2.
Yep. I'm definitely much more bullish about the first episode. One, like you said, like the actors, the characterizations, the chemistry of the people that we got to meet in this episode, especially like bringing in Heather and that whole thing, with Matt's date that he didn't know was a date, was really good. But I give it a 3.15, mainly because I really like the pacing of the episode. While the story was a little kind of convoluted, it went from beat to beat to beat the right way, and I felt like it did a really good job, like reintroducing Matt, why he isn't Daredevil at the moment, and then what's happening with Fisk, and then what's coming next. Like I do think it succeeded at doing that for the first episode.
Okay, and a quick FYI, Fisk breaks Dex's back. Afterward, he undergoes an experimental surgery to restore his spine.
There you go.
So, okay. So that's what happened at the end of season 3, Daredevil. Which, by the way, if and we both mentioned this, if these first 2 episodes did anything, I really, really want to watch the original show now. Yeah, and I probably will.
I thought you were going to say you really, really want to watch Echo. Echo.
The number you have reached has been disconnected.
Wait, hold on. Wait. I got it.
How dare you?
So, all right, on to episode 2, Optics. Matt is representing Hector Aliyah. I guess that's Alia, who assaulted a corrupt cop while trying to help Nick Torres. So Cherry, who retired in the first episode, is now working kind of with Matt, I guess, as like maybe a detective or, kind of fixer type guy. Matt discovers Hector is the vigilante known as White Tiger, who's sought justice during Daredevil's absence. And there's all this talk about like the vigilantes and, are they taking their role? And this happened in the first episode too, but like, are the vigilantes taking over for the cops? Do they need cops? Does it matter that they don't have enough cops? Which I thought was kind of a nice little thing. But yeah, it was pretty good. And, I'm excited to see the original White Tiger. So like a lot of people, if you watch like Spider-Man, Unlimited or Ultimate Spider-Man on Disney XD, like they had White Tiger, the girl version, and that's canon, that's comic accurate. But like White Tiger, like most heroes starting out as a man, and it was really really cool to see Hector as White Tiger and like how they're gonna work together. As it goes on, because I think Punisher shows up in some episodes too. If I
yeah,
remember.
he absolutely show up. Yeah, and I agree with you. I do like that conversation about vigilantes and do we need them, and the idea of I'm going to arrest a vigilante. So and it makes that conversation, and we've seen this in many iterations in comics and TV shows and superhero movies. It's like, well, I mean, hell, look at Civil War. It's like, are you telling me people who, like, would you rather someone not who has the ability to save someone not do it, because
right.
They're not, and that goes, that's, you have, what is that law like certain states have where it's like the bystander law, or you can get
Good Samaritan laws,
or whatever, good Samaritan laws, yeah. And I mean, that can be a fascinating conversation piece of. Because he even says this at the end of, or not the end of episode 1, but when Fisk tells Matt, where he's like, if you ever put on that suit again, I'm going to come for you. Just as Matt says, I'm going to be watching you, which I like that back and forth they had. But I did like this episode more. I thought for me, the pacing, they slowed down because they were focusing on one thing.
Yep.
And I'm very interested I like this idea of the Hector angle of this guy who's obviously he was the White Tiger, but looks like it's caused stress at home, and then how is this going to taking this case going to affect Matt's idea of wanting to put back on the hood and using his abilities for what he had been doing for years for the good of the good of the city. And you see more of Kingpin too, kind of getting used to the first 100 days, the first of his 100 days as mayor of New York. And he is so awkward. I love it. I love that. I really liked it, and I wasn't sure I was going to like it back in when this first started, seeing this guy who's supposed to be this badass, and you can tell he's just so socially awkward and doesn't know how to really fully communicate.
Well, he does know how to fully communicate through violence.
I was about to say with his, like outside of violence, but Vincent D'Onofrio made that role his own, and he's still doing it here. So I did like this a lot more. It's and again, the fight that we get, I mean, we did technically get 2 fights in here. They work more for me because they seem more grounded. They're more. There's not a CG fest and like smoke and all this stuff.
I think even the fight at the end when Matt is saving Nick, and he's got to do what he does and like fight back, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like, don't make me. He was basically kept saying it in his own way. Don't make me hurt you.
Oh yeah.
Don't make me do this. Yep. Don't make me do this. And it's. I'm glad we got that.
Yeah, I will say there was a standout for me in this episode, and it was Daniel Blake. the social media guy for Wilson Fisk, and just the fact that he was fanboying out about working for Kingpin.
Yeah.
And he was like, he's like, yeah, no, you're killing it with the people. You're doing this, you're doing that. It's like, yeah, this is funny. Like, I really like this. Like, it was really good. And like, it made Fisk really uncomfortable to have someone be so in his corner.
Yeah. And that, by the way, that's James Gandolfini's son.
Interesting. So, I mean, he's not a character from the comics. There was a Dan Blake, like in 1961 in Tales to Astonish 25. But it was a Martian disguised as a human. So I guess some online chatter here is everybody thinks he's a Skrull.
Yeah.
So let's hope
Donald
that's
Blake.
Not, yeah. Donald Blake. Yeah. Dan Blake. But yeah, so it was, I don't know. Like I said, I liked this episode. Like, this was definitely a more coherent episode.
Yes.
The first episode was directed by Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson and written by Dario Scardapane, something like that. And then this one was directed by Michael Siesta, and written by Matt Corman and Chris Ord. And let me just check some of this real quick. I want to say Michael Siesta, whatever. I don't know. I think he directed a bunch of.
I've heard that name before.
Yeah. So okay, he's done 6 Feet Under, Dexter, Homeland, a bunch of things. So
he directed American Assassin.
I'm just looking. Oh yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, American Assassin, Kill the Messenger, Telltale, 12 and Holding. So yeah, I mean, like he's
probably Dexter. So, I probably remember seeing that name of when we were watching Dexter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but yeah, it's and it's one of those things where it's like the second one, like, you get Fisk and Vanessa in the couples therapy. You had the guy go to Heather's book signing and be like, I really need your help. And she's like, yeah, here's my email. And, it was all to get Fisk and Vanessa in the room, which was cool. What we talked about with Matt tracking down Nikki Torres and getting him to safety and then having a fight. And then Matt does what Matt has to do, even though he doesn't want to do it because he promised Foggy that he wouldn't. But the scream, just the self-disappointing scream that came at the end was really, really like, okay, I'm ready for next Wednesday now. Wednesday.
Right. And this episode did that for me, where I'm, again, because it's Disney and we know their history the last several years with not just the MCU, but Star Wars and everything else they've done, they no longer get the benefit of the doubt. I don't care if it's the MCU. I don't care. Even with the new Secret Wars or whatever that's coming out that Russos are doing, I'm still not sure about that. So I'm not giving this a pass in any way, but this second episode did get me cautiously optimistic that we could get something that, while not coming close, to be honest, to the original series, something that is almost an homage to it, where it's like, okay, this is still entertaining. This still has some good points. It still has the two best things from the original, and then that's the two main actors. Their chemistry is still there. We've seen that already. So I can say that after that second episode, which cleaned up some of the stuff that I had issues with in the first one, don't get me wrong, there's still some of that newness in the second episode, but from a storytelling standpoint, which again is the most important thing, it seemed like they were a little bit more grounded in the sense of that story and focus, and the focus was there to me.
Yeah, I agree.
If they can keep that for these next 7 episodes and continue to improve and give us stuff that not necessarily is on par with the original, but shows that, hey, they want to tell a good story and they have the ability to. That's what I want. I don't want it to be, I don't expect it to be as good as the original, but I just want a good story where we're not getting messaged all over the place, where it's always about the characters on the screen and not, some issues that the writers are trying to work out on their own.
Yep.
And that's what we've seen a lot of.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So out of 5 supervillain marriage counselors, what do you give this one?
This is a 3.15.
Yeah.
I thought this was definitely a step up for me in terms of quality and in every regard for me from the first one. And it also gives me a little bit of hope that they did find their footing after that pilot, and they were able to construct something that, as it goes forward, continues to keep that quality of the second episode, and at times improve on it.
Yeah.
So if it can do that, then I can live with that.
Yeah. So I gave it a 3.39. Definitely agree. It was a bit of a step up from the previous episode, and it makes me want to watch more. What can I say?
Yeah, I agree.
So
I
cool.
agree.
All right. Cool. Well, short and sweet this week. Just a couple topics. Anything else you want to add before we call it a show?
Nope. I will be off to watching Reacher now. I will say I did find there is another show I've been watching that I had no idea it was on, or 2 shows actually like that. If you're looking for a show on Hulu, there's a show called Paradise. I almost said with Idris Elba. With Sterling K. Brown and
you're so racist. Do you think all black
James
people
Marsden.
look alike? Do you look in the mirror and be like, "What's up, Idris?"
No, I'm like, "What's up, Denzel?" Or Denzel.
Denzel. I think it's more like, "What's up, Carlton?" Nerd. Anyway, so okay, Paradise.
Yeah, Paradise is on Hulu. And again, if you're a fan of sword and sandals and biblical stuff, there's a show called House of David.
Oh yeah,
yes, that David on Prime.
Yeah,
I've watched the first 2 episodes so far, and it's really good.
We watched Keeping Point, Playing Point, whatever it is.
What's that?
The one on Netflix with Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, is that good?
It was surprisingly good.
Okay,
it was like we binged it in 2 nights. It's 10
That's
episodes
on my list as well.
And this is actually pretty good. Which was surprising because you look at it. I will say Brenda Song gets the Heat Check Award for the first season. I'll just put that out there. But yeah, all right, cool. Well, we're gonna go. I gotta edit this, so y'all have a great day, night, weekend, wherever you are, wherever you're listening. Thank you. We appreciate you. We're glad we're back, and take it out, Daryl.
See ya.
Bye. The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Daryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamouspodcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.